Hello. Hello, hello, my friends. Get the sound in. For anyone that's already on the live, can you help me do a little tech check and type in that you can see me and you can hear me? I'm coming to you from a new location here in Sardinia. Great. So, we are in for a treat today. This is how I like to this is an expression. I'm going to show you how I create when I'm utilizing my chef creator type, which is actually what we're going to go into next week. It looks a bit like this. When the chef creator type is being utilized, things can look messy, but it's just because there's like a little bit of taste of this and a little bit of taste of that. It looks like a table with tapas platters, but more on that next week. So we are diving into the Priestess Part 2 today. There's a lot of beautiful and rich content here, including the powerful oils and a few points for supporting the Priestess Creator type within you. So as we dive in, because this is the Priestess Creator type, we're going to start off in a way that is engendering and cultivating of this energy. And that is through a spiritual practice, through, we could call it an alignment practice, a connective practice. At its core, it's a practice that allows you to connect with something more than just your mind and something more than just this sort of linear experience in time. We're going to create a transcendent experience right now together. All you have to do is close your eyes if you want to, and you can. Closing eyes, it's not a must, but for a lot of people, it helps them to quiet and still and slow down. And so feeling that, the quieting, the space opening. The sense of clouds floating through the sky. And feeling your physical body, your physical form. It's almost like you're aware of the outline of your body. And then let your awareness sort of drift off from your physical form into your energy body. Just kind of lifting up like fog on a lake in the morning, like water vapor or water mist. Yes. And becoming aware of the non-locatable you. It's a strange thing. It's a very loose awareness because you're not trying to pinpoint anything. It's kind of like having an awareness of awareness itself. And in this quality of awareness, there's nothing to grasp. There's nothing to hold on to. And if you do feel your mind hook into a worry or a compelling thought, just let it drift into the clouds again for another 10 or 15 seconds. Acknowledging our guides, our helpers, our animal friends, our plant friends, our ancestors, and our very own soul. Okay. Take your time coming to, eyes open. So, with all of the creator types, there is a kind of paradox or um, like two sides of a coin with each creator type. And with the priestess type, you have on the one hand this kind of transcendent, what we just experienced, like clouds passing. You can't really grasp and hold it with your hands. And then there's also the aspect, we put on the bottom, there's also the aspect of the priestess creator type that's like swords slicing away in order to reveal more of what's true. So, in other words, the priestess creator type has both precision, because this is the type, the priestess creator type is actually the part of you that refines your offerings, refines your creations, refines what you write. When it's in balance, it's refining. When it's out of balance, it's criticizing. We're going to touch on that today. So just feeling that, again, seemingly paradox, but two sides of the same coin, this sort of ungraspable allowance of what is, a quality of transcendence, of being able to connect with your non-locatable, always has been self. And then this capacity to be so sharp, cutting away and revealing what's there, what's of value, what's precious. Good. Okay. So let's dive in a little bit deeper. And quick review, I'll make it kind of a quiz at the same time. See if you can remember. This is from last time. What is the magic of the priestess type? It's kind of an odd one. Death. To die. To die to something. That is the magic. It can include your actual end of life death, but really uh, we experience many little mini deaths all the time. I mean, I think perhaps every day, whenever there's an ending of something, it's a mini death. What is the superpower of the priestess type? We just did it actually in that practice. Acknowledgement. In fact, ancestral acknowledging practices is a really beautiful way to strengthen this aspect of the priestess creator type. Oh no, we're getting blasted with inappropriate comments. Let me see if I can do something about it. Report. Okay. And then I've got to remove. YouTube. Okay. Mm. The theme of the priestess type: value, value and worth. The kryptonite for the priestess type is attachment. And I believe I ended the last video with talking specifically about that. And that was a really powerful little bit of transmission around this creator type, that as long as we're clutching or holding where something actually wants to be allowed to transition or move on, then that is what erodes the gifts of the priestess creator type. So our ability to see and know value, our connection to worth and worthiness, those are all impacted when we have unhealthy, unproductive attachment. Hack. The hack is reverence, which is also part of what we just practiced, a reverence practice, and renunciation, reverence and renunciation. I also gave a nice story about renunciation last time, which I might repeat this time. Okay, so I went into more detail about what the priestess type has going on when they're off and what they're like when they're on. I had explanation with that in the last video. I'm only going to read off the list to get you primed to hear about the tools and the oils that best support these issues, or these challenges, I should say. So when the priestess type is off, they can be superficial, or they don't actually value what's of true value. So it could either appear as superficiality or appear as not valuing what's important. By the way, it manifests for a lot of healers, spiritually minded healer people, in not valuing their services, undercharging for their services, or having a lot of uncomfortability around not challenging, it is challenging, but around charging what is actually the worth, or even kind of coming, I don't know what it's worth. What is it worth? I don't know. And it's because there's issues around money and around value that kind of keep a sort of block there from perceiving the actual value. By the way, that's nobody's fault. That is part of the very strange sort of corruption of our understanding of value that's connected to paper money, fiat currency, and distortions in value that have been there for some time. But that's a different conversation. Self-righteousness, worthiness issues, critical, nitpicking, aloof, withholding, distant, disrespectful of self or others, irreverent, refusal to let go, regret, and disappointment. When the priestess type is on, the creator energy is on, there's embodied worth. Actions and choices match the value. Allowance and letting go with grace. Respectful, reverent, seer of beauty, creator of breathtaking art or content, beauty seeing, transmits timelessness. And now, let's hear a little bit. We are going to, perfect. We're going to be looking at what's needed for the priestess creative energy to thrive. Before I go into this, just take a moment to feel for yourself, like what comes to your mind, hearing all of this sort of information and these sort of archetypal words and images that I'm offering up. What do you think that the priestess needs to thrive? And if you want to type it in the chat, feel free. Because I'm sure actually you'll come up with some things that aren't on my list, and I would love to hear them. So keeping in mind what happens when the priestess energy is off, what is it that they need to thrive? So some of the first things, and I'm keeping an eye on the chat too. Quiet time. And connected to that very closely is spaciousness. So having quiet itself can create spaciousness, but sometimes we actually want to facilitate spaciousness in a space in order to cultivate the priestess creator energy. Clutter objects on all the surfaces, stuff around, and kind of encroaching on your space dampens the priestess creator energy. Breath work. Now, this could be actual like breath work techniques and practices, which are extraordinary for the priestess energy, but it can also just mean focusing on having taking deep breaths during the day. A lot of us tend to hold our breath or breathe very shallowly. So to embody or invoke more of the priestess energy, think about taking a few deep and relaxed breaths, inhales and exhales. And if you have a certain technique or practice around that, great. Um, Money work, I put money work. I mean, I've never met anybody, even some of the most advanced spiritual beings that I know on this planet. I've never met anyone that doesn't have some stuff around money. I think it's part of the cumulative karma that's connected to money. And because money is the main mode of energy exchange between us as humans, and energy exchange is connected to perceptions of value and worth, you can see that we can't let's put it this way, there has to be an evolving relationship with money and value and clearing off whatever isn't actually serving in those realms in order for the priestess creator type to develop over time. So a more succinct way to say that would be to develop more of the priestess creative gifts. Money work is going to need to be involved on some level, and that's connected to the value piece. And speaking of the money work, by the way, did you know about an offering that I have called the Prosperous Circle? It's an 8-month container with me, mentorship container with me, that is focused on prosperity, but in very particular ways that have to do with creators, innovators, and healers. And I did put a link to it in the show notes. So if you want to check that out, please do. We're filming this on September 1st, and I have an early bird special for that program that actually ends tonight, September 1st. So check it out. Beauty. The priestess creator type needs beauty. Now, everybody's definition or idea of beauty looks different. So it's not about having your house or your clothes or your decorations look a certain way. It's about you actually discovering what you find beautiful and bringing in more of what's beautiful. If having flowers, fresh flowers in your space makes you very happy and you find that incredibly beautiful, do that, and that will support the development of your priestess creator energy. And priestess creator energy is important and it's needed. Quality and risking for it. This is a big thing that the priestess creator type needs and creator energy needs. Now, this isn't about, like going into some kind of massive debt because you think that you need to have a name brand handbag. That's not what I'm talking about. Quality can be found at all price points, and in general, quality things cost more, as they should. So, depending on the amount of money that's available, one can make the decision to buy more at less quality or less at higher quality. When somebody chooses to buy less at higher quality, they are strengthening their priestess creator energy inside, which then, by the way, strengthens their ability to discern value and worth, which then inevitably leads to greater, especially if they're doing work with money, greater money flow in. So they support each other. You go for greater quality, you're going to tend to be able to flow more money in and out. Acceptance. So the acceptance in this way that I mean is that for most people, it's much harder to let go than it is to grab on. We are culturally encouraged to grab hold and hold. And when we can find that transrational acceptance that all of it, the gaining and the losing, the receiving and the giving, the going in, the going out, that all of that is part of the life cycle of abundance. It's not like just the flowing in is abundant. The flowing out is equally as abundant, and the totality of it is the truth of abundance with capital T. So when a human, when any of us come into true acceptance, not like we're trying to bully ourselves into acceptance. You should be accepting. No, it's like we actually come into this sort of embodied grace of acceptance of what is. We're not resisting anymore. That's big medicine for the priestess creator energy and for our priestess within, for that matter, priest or priestess. Renunciation. And we did talk about this last time. I was saying that this Buddhist monk said that the best definition of renunciation I ever heard, which is renunciation is the natural result of putting our attention on that which is of most value. So when we actually put our attention on what's really valuable, we give our energy, our attention, our resources to that, then that which is not of value just falls away naturally, like a leaf falling off of a tree. To cultivate the priestess energy, we need renunciation. It's important not to get all heady about it, but just sort of feel that capacity within yourself to naturally renounce, to know when something's not for you, to know that a no is okay. And that when you have a no and it's actually allowing something to drift away, that it creates the space for something to flow in. A really wonderful astrologer who I used to have sessions with said to me once something that I'll pass on to you. He said, Tiffany, if it's not a full yes, then it's a no for now. And that helped me a lot because I realized how much I would try to talk myself into a yes from a maybe. And I thought this maybe really like meant I needed to like work this maybe to find out, is it a yes, is it a no? But to just realize, okay, if it's a maybe, then it's a no for now. That can make things a lot easier. And that is a very priestess quality. Speaking of death, did I say about death yet? No, this was the next one. Embrace of death. So the embrace of death, allowing things to go through their full life cycle. As much as you embrace money coming in, embrace money going out. As much as you embrace holding someone, embrace releasing them, these movements. But this idea of embracing death, one of my beautiful friends and colleagues, and she's also a client of mine, Lola Mannequin, she has an incredible free experiential event coming up called, I put a link for it in the show notes. I think it's called What If This Was My Last Day? Basically, it's an exploration of the question, what if this was your last day alive? And she's setting it up in a really beautiful way with movement, contemplation, and a transmission from her on this topic. I highly recommend it. Spiritual practice. The priestess creator type needs spiritual practice. And I'd even say you're not going to bring through this particular quality of depth that the priestess type really brings if you are not doing some kind of spiritual practice. Because if we're not doing spiritual practice and we live within the culture that we live, we can't help but sort of move into greater and greater degrees of superficiality, soul dehydration, and that sort of grasping quality, always needing something to kind of fill the void or feel complete. When we do spiritual practice, we align with our wholeness. We align with the deeper truth of who we are. Oh no, we got this crazy comments going on again. Okay, I think I did. I think I was able to get rid of some of them. Okay. In closing, our last bit, which is maybe the part that you might even like the best, I don't know, are oils. We have 4 oils, 1, 2, 3, 4, that we're going to talk about briefly. Rose, um, compassionate grace is my nickname for Rose, or sometimes I just call it the One. And it does have this energy of Mother Mary or Kuan Yin, that ability to embrace everything, all of it, to not have to push any of it away. This is really important to the Priestess Creator energy. So you can use Rose on CV17 or on Heart 7 on the wrists. Saro, I called Saro Saro. I'll put a link to Saro in the show notes because some of you don't know about it. It's a beautiful oil that has a very pungent fragrance to it, a bit like eucalyptus. And I call it the parter of the clouds and the breather of stardust. And that kind of thing that we did in the beginning where I guided you into this sort of ethereal spaciousness, Saro can evoke that quality. But the other piece about Saro is that it helps to transform stuck grief. And one of the challenges with the Priestess Creator type is to get stuck in the grief of loss and have trouble transforming that. So if you can relate to that, or a sense of regret or loss is blocking your creativity, this is really important. If a sense of regret or loss is blocking your creativity, go to Saro. And you can put it either on point lung 2, or lung 1, which is right here under the clavicle. Lung 2, lung 1. Sorry, lung 1, lung 2. Lung 1 here, lung 2 here. Cypress, I call Cypress the return, and it very much has to do with death, allowing something to go to death. This is such the beautiful and strong transmission of Cypress. There is a point, you can look it up online. It's called Kidney 7. It's down on the ankle. The name of the point is Returning Current, and it's a brilliant point for this oil. Just take a drop, hold it on both sides, light touch, Aroma Point style. When you feel like you're clutching on to something, or you have a sense that you're clutching onto something and you don't know how to let go, and when you try to make yourself let go, it gets even worse, just go straight to Cypress. I would do Cypress and Saro and then put Rose over CV17 right here. And then myrrh is the last one that I wanted to mention, the initiator of life, death, life. Myrrh is connected to mummification practices, and it's also connected to birth. Wasn't it frankincense, gold, and myrrh? Wasn't myrrh one of the gifts that was given to baby Jesus? I thought it was frankincense, gold, and myrrh. Myrrh is one of the other names that I have for myrrh is the essence of precious and rare. So it has this way of bringing us into that which is most precious, that which is most rare. My favorite points for myrrh are these, we call them the upper kidney points. So it's about 1.5 inches out from the sternum, and they're in between the ribs all the way down to here. So you can do any of these points here. Light touch with myrrh. If you want to learn more about these points and oils, and also just a soul journey with them, Aroma Point Mastery is coming up. We're starting in October. I thought of it because this is actually, we utilize this point in one of our sequences together. Okay, everyone. That was wonderful to be together with you. I hope you enjoyed it. Share this if you did enjoy it and you think of others that might want to watch it. And you can like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and I'll see you next week. Next week, we're going to get into the chef creator type for 2 weeks. Okay, bye.